There are different parts of the psyche, and there is a core, which is called self in this model. The concept of the self, whether it's a higher self or it's a larger self or whatever one calls it, it's still the same concept. There is, though, quite a range of this self. The self is not one specific thing that we can clearly define and understand what it is. It is more of a feeling, if anything else, and there is kind of a range. So the amount of self you have access to is a range and goes from dissociation, which is that state in which there is zero access to self. It's that state in which sometimes we find very elaborate ways to numb ourselves, to avoid life, just because for one reason or the other, it feels like too much. And then this range moves towards I would call it daily life, in which there is not really much access. We are too busy. We just go from one activity to the other. We are very often in our head and not so much in our body or connected to our heart, to the self. And then the range shifts a little more to the right. And then there is the self that is a little more accessible, and you might get glimpses of when maybe you do meditations, when you do breath work, when you dance, when you do certain activities that are very connecting for you, then you might get a glimpse of this state in which you feel connected, in which you feel at peace, in which you feel kind of curiosity about it all, and you feel a kind of knowing about yourself, about who you are, about what's right or wrong for you. And then the range moves even more to the right towards the experiences that we have with psychedelics, in which there is a lot of access to self, and we might actually feel that we are just okay the way that we are, that we are just okay existing, that we don't need to do anything or really pursue anything to be worthy, that we are worthy just because we exist, that feeling of loving ourselves or accepting ourselves unconditionally. And then even more to the right, there are those experiences that are more transcendental. So there is the universal self, there is that feeling of unity with everything, that feeling of really being part of all life, of the expansion of the universe and being one with it all. And that's what I would call a range of what is our access to self. And there are different parts of our psyche that are more or less connected to this self. Very often they are quite disconnected.